Oh, Ryan. Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Hi, Rick.
How are you?
Okay. It was a little tricky signing in, but
Oh, because you're at a different location, yeah.
right. So actually, I had to end up going in through my browser.
Okay, sure. Works. You're in Florida someplace? Is that, we're not recording yet, so don't.
We're not recording.
No.
Oh.
Well, you know what? You may have started. Yeah,
I don't know. The one of the links I had was actually a YouTube link.
Oh, that's for the streaming, yeah, but you shouldn't need that.
So, right. So I went back and found the other link that Penny had sent.
I see.
Hi, Donna, we see you and hear you loud and clear.
Oh, good.
Madam Chair. It's official. Call to order the Education and Planning Committee meeting this October the 5th in the year of 2022, 30. First item of business is to review the September 27th, 2022 minutes. Are there any adjustments, additions, edits? I'll just add one, Penny, the location, we talked about it and you caught that, so thank you. Go to the enrollment update with Dr. Urbitis.
Let me share this. Kevin? Huh? Oh, thank you. I'm sure that is. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Carol. Hello. So in your packet is the enrollment update for headcount and FTE as of September 23rd. So another Friday has passed since that point in time. So I will provide you with an update that reflects numbers as of headcount numbers as of Friday the 30th. So on September 23rd, overall enrollment was down 6.6%. The encouraging news is as of September 30th, enrollment is down 2.4%. All right, and that is called the Gemini effect. Non-credit state aidable, which was down 3% on the 23rd, is now over the line at 15.4%. Total credit enrollment, which includes full-time, part-time, and Gemini, is at negative 2.8% in comparison to the 23rd, where it was down 6.6%. So we've made progress. Gemini registrations will continue through the end of October, with some still trickling in November, which is always the case. And I'll ask if there's any questions.
Dr. Urbitis, the full-time enrollment is still trending downward.
Overall full-time enrollment as of the 30th is down 5.4% in comparison to the 23rd, where it was down 7.7%.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Carol, if you wanted to put in that perspective, in some ways, one of the things that we've talked about, so is Matt, we're also comparing ourselves to a lot of other schools that had extreme enrollment drops past years where we did very well.
Right.
And example, I mentioned you, I don't know if you were able to look it up, but if you looked at it, but in Community College Daily, they had a report about TC3, and they were down 32% from the start of COVID. So some of these schools that are up because they were so low before. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, because I heard Jeff's groan. And so I just wanted to kind of put things
Right.
in perspective a little bit.
So over the past 2 years that we have been in the top tier of SUNY community colleges in regard to overall enrollment. In comparison to most that had enrollment declines of 12% or more. This year, things are appearing preliminarily a little bit different. So those schools that were down significantly, like TC3, like Jamestown, Cayuga, that saw some increase in credit enrollment, that's a significant change for them, but you have to look at the end. And we will have official fall enrollment from SUNY sometime in November, after all of us report our numbers, and Deborah's shaking her head, and I will be happy to share that with you at that time.
If I can just add to that, like, just to put a really fine point on it, they're up because they're comparing themselves to last year.
Right,
They're not up.
that's right.
And so it becomes really important to sort of understand that context. It gets played around a lot with, especially in PR. But from a decision-making perspective, that's a very big difference.
Right. And it could be not a significant end either in comparison to last year that put them up.
And what, quite frankly, we should be looking also at a holistic point of view, which is all 4 periods: fall, spring, winter, summer.
That's exactly
In
right.
terms of, that's our overall
Well,
picture.
Right. And that's our fiscal health as well. So it's not just one shot in the fall. It's all 4 terms. Anything else? Okay,
Thank you, Dr.
you're welcome.
Dr. and I just noticed that we are using the new technology here with this meeting that we had last meeting demonstrated to us.
Well, speaking of just kind of folks looking at things to make things easier, Ed Kelty looked at it as a way in his staff of making it easier for what had to be done. And I was in earlier today, Ed, you can elaborate. The staff said it was far easier putting this together to prepare for today, and notice no microphones
Right.
here and so forth. So
Well done.
Well, we saw a need and the faculty had been using it and demoed it, and it definitely works much easier than what we had before. And what you see in the upper left is what the folks on the remote see, so they can actually see you much better as well.
Yeah, I think it's overall much better, and if it's easier and better, so 1 + 1 = 4. Moving on, gonna go nursing success coach, Ms. Kent.
Good evening. I have a brief update on retention activities at the college. This nursing success coach is really a student success coach with a nursing focus. Last March, FLCC was able to put a new role into action using Perkins funds. The role of technical specialist, the healthcare studies students pipeline into nursing, and academic probation students in culinary, smart system technology, viticulture, and criminal justice. Leveraging the deep knowledge of a long-standing part-time employee with disability services, Christine Dow, we were able to make some inroads right away. In the spring, Christine was able to meet with enrolled nursing students and offer support for their academic success, such as time management, stress reduction, and test-taking strategies. She assisted faculty with outreach to nursing students who were struggling and began to work on new systems to implement and help the nursing students this academic year. Although the role is a 10-month position, we did hire Christine in the summer to work on specific outreach to students on academic probation, those of whom were in the healthcare studies program, aspiring nurses, and non-nursing majors, to help them determine why they were on academic probation and to help them implement strategies so that they are successful this fall. Of the 45 students she worked with, or 45 students she contacted, 22 to 25 worked with her directly, and they all implemented those strategies as discussed and are now back here in the fall. This fall, she's working with a cohort of 56 students and assisting them in the same way that she did this summer. Additionally, this fall, she collaborated with nursing faculty to embed in their course syllabi workshops, 3 different workshops, in which the students can attend to help them be successful as nursing students. And the students that attend those workshops will get 1 or 2 points on their test grades or something of that nature. 3 workshops cover time, focus, and energy management. The second one is advanced effective study strategies, and the third one is test-taking strategies. Also this fall, she's reaching out to struggling students. And when a student leaves a program, she does an exit interview to find out what caused them to leave the program and what we might be able to do to keep them enrolled. Finally, she attends all nursing level meetings and meets with the nursing faculty to discuss student issues and helps them or works with them to find success strategies and other ways to help the students. She's also reaching out during our Start and Finish progress surveys. Any student that falls under the Perkins guidelines that need help, flag is raised if we're struggling due to attendance concerns, poor grades, and so forth. Christine reaches out to them and works with them. She basically connects with students, provides resources or suggests resources, and is the safety net for those students who are struggling academically in order to encourage engagement, retention, and finding enrollment. Thank you. Is there anything I can answer?
Questions for Kathleen? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a resolution to review. Will be approved at the main board meeting later. Mr. McCabe, approve and deactivate mechanical technology program.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Sorry that I can't be there in person. I'm a little under the weather. So what we're looking to do here is just deactivate this program. This program has had declining enrollment for about the last 5 or 6 years. COVID did not do any favors to this program. Our most recent full-time faculty member in this program retired. And as we did a search to try to find a replacement, we were unable to find a replacement, so had to fail the search. We only have 2 students that are continuing currently in this program. They are taking the upper division courses in mechanical technology as independent studies, and we did not have enough students coming in the pipeline as freshmen to offer the freshman level courses. So this seems like the best plan of action for now. Deactivation does not remove this from our repertoire. It basically just puts it on pause. There's deactivation and discontinuance. Discontinuance means that we would get rid of the program entirely, but that's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing is trying to take some time to understand ways we may be able to change this program or change the curriculum, change the modality to try to get more students into this program moving forward. But we need some time to do that, and it's not really ethical to take students into a program that is not sustainable at the moment.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McCabe?
What is mechanical technology? What's the focus of the program?
The focus of was the question the focus of the program?
What is the focus of that program?
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically, they do a lot of like 2D and 3D modeling using CAD. They do there's a little bit of engineering in there. There's a little bit of architecture. There's some fabrication. Basically, the graduates would be folks that would end up as machine designers or tool designers or lab technicians, safety technicians, things along those lines. What is frustrating is that there is a need for employees in this area, but we're not getting the students in the door that we can send out to fill that need. So that is why we're taking this route as opposed to a discontinuance route, because we know there is a need from employers, but for whatever reason, we are currently not able to bring in students and show them the value of this program.
Thank you.
Is there, I guess, is there anything we do with the county has a development, workforce development or something of that nature? Do we do any work with them on programs like this that are coming up short, Dr. Knight?
We can in the future. There are two things that are going on right now. One, getting ready to do the economic impact study, which will then help us work with the county. Two, they have a new economic developer who just started about 2 months ago. We're still getting their feet in the ground. We've been working with them in terms of grants and actually had our folks get together on the grant activities. And one of the things that we really want to work with the county in the future is what are the areas that they really need people, so that it's also linked into how do they wish to fund us and provide funding for things. And Rich and some others have been doing some great work in that area of trying to discuss that. I did today with the county administrator, and what I think we need to continue to go back and look with them, work with them is what you just said. Where do you see areas where you need focus? And then we work together in terms of trying to provide them. And I think what Ryan said is very important, because and I had talked to Cassie once previously that we should go back and look at this program and see whether or not we need to remodel it, to rebrand it. Because like Ryan said, if you said that was an AutoCAD type of program or something of that nature versus when you talk about mechanical technology, a lot of people will know what that is. And so it just may be relooking at how do we reorient the program. Maybe it was as Ryan said, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, Cassie, it was sort of a do-all be-all. And had a lot of things in there. We're talking about fabrication versus the design and other things of that nature. Maybe we need to look at it in that aspect, but you have to have time to do that.
Right. Great. Thank you, Dr. Knight.
Cassie, Ryan, anything else on it?
No, I think you covered it very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Russell. Great question to get that off. Thank you, Mr. McKay. Hope you're feeling better. Moving on to strategic thought presentation. Mr. Sloan on workforce and career solutions, our annual report. Dr. Knight, it occurs to me that this technology could put everybody at one round table. Folks wouldn't have to get up and down.
Good point. We could. We are still evolving out of COVID
Yeah.
in terms of what we want to do. So
It's funny.
yeah.
It's learn as we go.
It only took 1 month to get this going. What's next?
All right, thank you all for having me. Appreciate it. Nice to see you all again. Welcome to our new trustee that I haven't had a chance to present to yet. So again, I'm Todd with Workforce and Career Solutions, and really wanted to focus tonight on what we've been doing in the last year. I want to share with you, I just got back from the annual NIATEP conference. NIATEP is the statewide organization for workforce development professionals. And it was very interesting. I think that community colleges and workforce programs, and particularly AAS programs, are going to be super well positioned for what's going on there. That organization for the past 5 years has jointly convened their annual conference with the largest economic development organization in the state. And basically the mantra that came out of that was that workforce development is economic development. And those two organizations are really joining forces. And they're doing a lot in terms of lobbying at the state level. And I think we're going to hear some more. We heard something about that yesterday, right? Did everybody hear the news about Syracuse? And I think we're going to hear some more in the coming weeks. Some interesting developments around that. So what I wanted to do is provide a little highlight of what should I point at here? Cheryl? Or should I touch a key? Powell, next slide, please. Wow, Mr. Vince. There's not that.
Try it now.
Okay. Hey there. All right, so this is the things I'd like to hit tonight for you all. Some of this is information we provided previously, and what we did do at Dr. Nye's request and kind of prophetically in terms of what I just talked about is we have added some performance measures to the report this year in terms of dollar impact of grants and economic impact of placements. So our enrollment this year is down overall in the last program year. This is the total number of sessions we offered. Last year, I believe it was 327, and this year it's 295. These are the 5 service areas that we focus in workforce. And the main reason for this drop in enrollment and also both sessions offered and enrollment is customized workforce training, which is the blue area here. We really saw at the end of COVID, we still had advanced manufacturing companies that were not doing training on site. And normally customized, that blue area would be close to half of our total enrollment. So we made up for that in part through our career pathway programs, which was a huge goal for us to stand those programs back up and increase enrollment. We ran 96 sessions this last year, which was up from 56 the year before. And those career pathway programs, those are our face-to-face local programs that end in a credential or certificate that is tied to an in-demand occupation. So they're important locally, and they're also, they're important from an economic development point of view, and they have the most impact in terms of actual job placements. Because our placement rates in those programs run 85 to 95% of our completers. This is total unique participants. This is down significantly. We were at 1,700 last year. This is about 1,300, 1,282 this year. Again, that is almost exclusively workforce. We essentially served 2 employers in the last year. We delivered all of the grants and all the trainings we had for them, but normally those trainings themselves would have been offered to multiple employers. Okay. We do not expect that to continue going into next year. The state of New York has opened up their application process again for SUNY workforce training, and we have a waiting list of employers who want to get back in action for them. Okay, so I did want to talk about funds and leveraging because we were very busy during COVID. Our main focus during and at the end of COVID was preparing for after COVID, right? And so that meant developing new curriculum and finding funds to pay for tuition for non-credit learners. This is really important in the workforce area because most of our programs are not eligible for FAFSA for federal money unless a student happens to be full-time and matriculated. So we pursued quite a number of grants, and I won't give you the details here. You have the notes. I do want to just acknowledge the finance division. So we have someone from finance here and the advancement division, because just recall that during this time that we were pursuing these grants, most of this time we did not have a grant director. So it was really their flexibility and help in we wrote these grants, but it was their review and their approval of them that made us, it really enabled us to move forward as a department and pursue these funds. So in about the last year and a half, we landed in total about $1.8 million in new funding. And then if you break that down, because some of those are one-year grants or one-offs, some of those are three-year grants. But if you break it down, what it really means is about $700,000 in revenue in the last year. And I'm really pleased to say that almost all of that revenue went directly to enabling a student to attend a program at no cost to them. All of the direct funds, almost all of the direct funds were going straight to student tuition. And then the other thing, we have been collecting placement and retention data for quite some time. And we finally are in a position where we have enough, we can start reporting on economic impact. It's not the easiest thing to do that in terms of collecting data and getting a good set of data, but I wanted to provide it to you this year. Again, at Dr. Nye's suggestion, and really this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of workforce and economic development. So this is, if you think of those pie charts, this is just that orange part of the pie chart. This is just our career pathway programs locally. And we had 80 graduates in total in those programs. Interestingly, only 27 reported being unemployed at the start of training. That is, it may not be a surprise, right? This is a huge shift with unemployment as low as it is and labor participation rates as low as they are. We're seeing, we expected this, but we're seeing many more people coming who are working. They're either underemployed or they're coming for training to upskill in their field. So those 27 who reported being unemployed at the start of training, we had direct reports from these folks here. We have the number of individuals who reported back to us. We have their median pay. And so really what you see is just annual income. Okay, this is not necessarily economic impact, but that's the annual income of those direct reports. What we then did is we know historically that our placement rates in our programs are 85 to 95%. So we made the assumption on the low end that even though we heard from 9 of these 27, we said, well, let's assume that those who reported being unemployed were placed at a rate of 85%. So that because economic impact numbers are assessed by sector. So we have these 3 sectors and these projected employment placement rates, and then the median page that you see here as well. These are a couple job titles that were reported to us. I didn't list them all here, but these are typical job titles in these sectors. And then here what we can do is we can project out the economic impact. So the first direct impact column is simply income of those individuals. And the second column is a combination of both supplier generated income and induced income or revenue, right? So these would be revenue generated by jobs up or down the supply chain for each of those individuals. And then induced would be secondary revenue generated. So the Swagels vendor out front when someone gets a job and the hot dogs they purchase from them, right? Cool. So that's when we take that out, we just use standard numbers for economic impact, and then we total that across the 3 sectors. We were looking at about $3.5 million in 21-22. That's where we're at. I think this is a very conservative number, and when we get our data a little more, when our data is more complete, more full, and we start looking at other areas, we'll be looking at significantly above that.
And these people making more money will all presumably be Ontario County taxpayers, right?
Yes, these are only people who reported above the table employment. Yes. Although I should say, just this was all 4 counties. It wasn't just Ontario County. So some of them might give a little money to Yates, right? I picked on Yates there. I hope no one minds. Sorry, Betty. Okay, so going forward, what we're looking at, we did discover that, when we really summarized our data, not only that we saw more employed people participating in our local programs, but many of our unemployed folks were not receiving unemployment. They were not connected to the local workforce development board or a Department of Labor. Now, part of that is absolutely the economy. I mean, you can count the number of people collecting unemployment in Yates County on two hands right now. It's just unbelievable, the dearth of talent. It's just a desert out there for employers. But we realized that one of the impacts of COVID, which kind of surprised us a little bit, is we haven't gotten out there and talked to our local referral partners. It's all been virtual. And so we are seeing less of those referrals. That's unfortunate. The good news is those particular programs that are local and that are career path programs are already stronger this year coming out of COVID. So we expect that as we get out there and hit the road and do some barnstorming, is that what it is? Barnstorming? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. That will help us. We also learned, we've deployed 7 grit sites. For those of you who might not be aware of that, we have community sites now that we're delivering our workforce training to in a hybrid fashion, so that those underrepresented learners who may not have transportation or a computer at home or broadband at home can literally walk to their local library or walk to the Bloomfield School District and take a class with us. We saw some very good initial impact with that, with reaching out and touching exactly those learners. When we grew our sites, we're discovering that we need to learn more about how to reach those learners. We made it very easy for these non-traditional adult working folks to participate in our programs. And many of them did, in fact, have access at home. We saw a lot of at-home learners. That is not a bad thing, because they would not have been our students otherwise. But it's not the population that we want to tap. And in the coming decade, with the decline of high school graduation classes and the silver tsunami, we have to find new individuals who are not participating in higher education and not participating in the workforce to come out and get the training they need for great paying jobs. These are our sites, our grit sites. We have 2 of our campus centers are now hosting grit classes. We have an employer in Wayne paying their employees and giving them time off to participate in our classes at work. And we have 2 public libraries. And this January, we'll have Waterloo Recreation Center coming online. So this is huge. I think this is huge for us. It's just in its infancy, but this is going to, again, tap that population we might not otherwise be tapping. We have a new person on staff, and Mary Gratton, who is a longtime custom training specialist, has become our assistant director, was promoted to that position. We expect we'll probably have another person on staff in the next month. I didn't touch on that earlier, but all of these outcomes were with 3 people on a team that normally has 6. So we are really excited about getting out into the community and promoting what we've been doing now that we're up to full staff. I think I really touched on this. We're going to do outreach and enrollment. We are going to add, our goal is to add 2 more micro pathways to the GRIT program. Right now, we're doing the programs in GRIT are advanced manufacturing. We hope to add education and IT pathways. We aren't decided which 2 it'll be yet, but it'll definitely be in-demand sectors and in-demand jobs that are local to those sites. That's all I got. Questions for Trustee Russell?
But, you were mentioning that you're in 2 libraries now. Are you in touch with Ontario Wayne, the OWL libraries, Ontario Wayne, I can't remember the other 2.
Pioneer Facility.
Thank you.
Well, we are in touch with them, yes. The individual libraries applied to be sites. We work with the OWL libraries as referral sources, but tell me more what you were thinking.
I was thinking, since they're a network, they would be able to put you into almost every library in Ontario, Maine, and the
That's an excellent suggestion, and no pun intended, but the owls will probably make a difference.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Our prior technology was WebEx based, and it was through grants that we stood these sites up. And that technology was quite a bit more expensive than what you're looking at here today. So I think that's an excellent suggestion. We could honestly, just doing the math in my head, we could potentially stand up something like this in those libraries at about the cost of one of the sites using the last gen technology. Do you believe last gen technology is 18 months old? But
I have one more question. Are you familiar with the grant providers on your list? Because I did have a question on OCFS.
yes, we wrote all those grants in our department. So yeah, OCFS,
Is Ontario County, or is it?
Office of Children and Family Services. At the state level, they have a grant program that funds training and development for employees.
Okay,
So we do that for Ontario. We do that for Seneca and Wayne County and probably Ontario next year.
well, yeah, it's terribly important because there is a real lack of caseworkers in DSS in Ontario County, whether it's Office for the Aging or whether it's the direct contact with folks coming through the system. I think Tiberio can't get, to even take the test, the civil service, so
Okay,
it's extremely important that
okay,
we reach that.
thank you. Right now, most of what we're doing is upskilling, but I'll make a note and we'll just find out what the requirements for those positions are. And if there's training we can do to prep people for them,
Yeah, and since this was a state grant, I'm sure that the folks at DSS will know about the fact that you have gotten the grants, because they're probably plugged into them also.
I have to highlight too, and Todd was in the meeting, I believe, we're trying to work more closely with the grant writers and economic developers and social service folks.
Yeah.
For that. We had a really good meeting recently that we're starting to shift the culture of breaking down to a couple levels lower down. Todd, you may want to relate on it, or I'm not sure if anybody captures on it, but it was good. It was a good meeting to start some of that maybe talking about. Todd?
Exactly, yeah. What I'm thinking that could look like is regular meetings with economic development, workforce development, and the college. Again, similar to what we talked about before, to look at who are the new businesses coming in, who is looking to expand, and then being much more in a position to kind of do a rapid response in terms of developing programming to meet those needs. And we'd be super well positioned to be successful with those grants. First of all, we do have a grant writer who's excellent now, and our finance team is familiar with all of those customized OCF, all of those grants. So I think if we had the employers earlier on in the conversation about exactly what their skill needs are, we'd be in a really good position to.
Yeah, through the certificate program, if you could uptrain some of the admins who work for the county, could take on caseworking, it would be a great thing.
Thank you.
There, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you know what the minimum degree requirement is for a caseworker position?
That's been a sticking point because I think it's a bachelor's degree.
It is.
It is.
I was gonna say, because our human services graduates could also consider that track.
Right, and that's where some, I'm not gonna say pressure, but that's where some education needs to come in on the county side. If they're short caseworkers, they need to find a way to make sure that there are people coming through the system. And if the bachelor's degree is a roadblock, that needs to be addressed.
Well, and also too, we have a partnership with Casanova College, and they're offering their baccalaureate in social, and thank you, Deborah. At the Geneva Center.
Great.
So students can complete our human services and chemical dependency counseling programs and obtain their baccalaureate. at the Geneva Center.
See, this is where my mind goes a mile a minute. I just love this conversation because there are cases in CSEA where there could be waivers or exceptions made to those hard requirements, in which case the OCF grant you just mentioned would pay for those, let's call them provisional employees. I'm making that term up, okay? Would pay for those folks then to be upskilled in these programs, and they just have a certain amount of time probably to meet those qualifications. That's great.
Rich, is there any possibility that the county group would be willing to help with tuition with some of these people to get them into those jobs? Because let's face it, social work is kind of like teaching. They don't make an awful lot of money, and yet they might incur an awful lot of debt.
This is, without taking on the mantle of being the budget officer, I would say it's very likely that the commissioner, along with the county administrator and budget officer and the finance director, would find a way to make that happen.
Because they can get a reasonable education here at reasonable cost, but now you're talking about going to Casanova. That would, I would assume, would be pretty pricey.
I'm glad you said what you did, because this is a conversation that I had with the administrator, DeBolt today about the social services and that aspect, and that discussion was brought up about the monies to do so. They used the example that Thompson Health found $100,000 from a donor to be able to pay for our CNAs and other CNAs to get trained to then automatically go into an LPN program.
Yeah.
So it's all paid for. And it's putting some money into some teeth into what they want to accomplish. But we did talk about there needs to be a triad between economic development, social services, and our two entities to get them.
And I think our new economic developer is a person who is really on the ground quite a bit and would be certainly able to take on that type of advocacy.
The other thing when you talk about the education challenge that Carol and Deborah mentioned, we've tried to do the same, or have offered up interns, and they're not qualified enough for them to use, and that's another area to pass back that we have. Students who are in the pipeline. How do we help put them into working with them as an intern, which maybe pays for the education to do things. But we can't get our interns, student interns, to work with them.
My simple mind says if you don't have enough people to cover the cases that are required to be covered, and your requirements to be a caseworker are more difficult to manage than the current population of students in this area, something's got to give.
Conversation.
I'm climbing off my soapbox.
More
Thanks, Todd.
more to follow.
Thank you.
Sounds like I think some of our work has been exposed to it. The committee we're yet to be assigned to. Other questions? Todd, I have one, thinking kind of long-term, future-proofing, if you will. You mentioned the low unemployment rates. But with the shrinking of the economy that they're trying to do, ELS announced this week that job openings are down 10%. How do you see that impacting some of the things you're doing and planning as you're moving forward?
I don't think any corrections that are made are going to overcome that demographic drought. If we look at the numbers nationally and locally, and I'm not a doom and gloomer at all. A lot of jobs will be replaced with automation. However, if we look at the number of bodies to openings for the foreseeable future, able bodies, whether those are, and by able bodies, I mean anyone who's of working age. So even with that 10%, the ratios are, they're looking at like 3-to-1 to 8-to-1 out 10 to 15 years of positions to people. So it's really, on the one hand, it is a concern, but on the other hand, if we do arm people with the right kinds of technical knowledge and skills, these are almost all technical positions about 80% are technical positions that require a 2-year degree or less. And so we can make a huge impact on things like rural poverty, things like people who are not a part of the workforce now, and obviously economic development too. But I'm not worried about running out of opportunities for folks who wanna work.
It's just tooling and having the right courses.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's a huge sea change, is what are the competencies employers need? What are educational programs providing? And unfortunately, right now, a lot of those 4-year students they're kind of caught in that transition. If they're in the right degree, they're going to make great money and have a job. If they're not, they're going to have debt, and they may not be making any more than one of our certificate graduates.
Right now. Who can pivot quicker than a community college?
But they are starting to shift with that. And we have plenty of examples here. Met a student today, got a degree in communication arts and a language degree, and couldn't find work. And was working in a liquor store, just decided that they liked wines and came from New York City and is taking our viticulture program because that's the career they have now, after having a 4-year degree from somewhere else. We have a lot of those stories here. I think a lot of that's going to continue and increase, which might be good for us.
Yeah, the variation in income with a 4-year degree is much greater. A 2 degree is more of a guarantee of an income bump. A 4-year degree, the average income is higher, but the variability is much higher too. It's not as much of a, what you might call guarantee, I guess.
Right.
Apologies if I'm telling you information y'all are familiar with, but.
No, it's very true. And Bob Templin years ago did a study at Nova, Northern Virginia, and comparing his graduates to George Mason, which is right down the road, university, and community college students were out earning the bachelor's degree students for the first few years. So it's, your point, it works great. Any other questions for Sloan? Thank you for thoughtful. Thank you for all you did and with doing more with less.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
With that, we can take a motion to adjourn.
So move, Santa.
Santa, thank you. Second.
Donna, second.
Anna, second. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Madam Chair, floor is
Very
yours.
good. Only 1 minute over. Very good. Trustee Martin is unable to be with us this evening. Trustee Zaffis, so would you mind taking over the finance committee? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll call the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting to order. This is the review of the September 7th minutes. So are there any comments or questions regarding the minutes? If not, I'll consider them approved. The operating budget update and finance report.
Actually, I'm not gonna, I'd like to introduce you to our interim CFO, Ken Becker. He's gonna present.
Thank you.
We'll officially welcome you aboard. Thank you for being here.
It's actually, it's a pleasure. I'm here for a short period of time. And one of the questions that came up to me early on was, how will you know if you've been successful during your time here? And I'm thinking about the couple of things that we're working on, which is launch a budget, launch the audit, both of which are going to be very active over the next couple of months. But the number one thing, and Dr. Knight reminds me of this regularly, is to support the staff. And they, they're the workforces here in finance in this area. If I can leave this a better work environment for them by helping to improve some of the processes and streamline some of the activities, I think that would be a good thing. Because right now, everybody's working full up to get through things.
Do you like this on the screen?
So sure, you can, if
If I could, just for a second, it seems only fair that you understand the audience you're talking to, so, could we just go around the table real quick, give our names and some brief summary of our background?
Okay. Hi, I'm Santa Abraham. I manage a team of project managers for an insurance company.
Very nice.
Hello, I'm Mila Schumacher. I'm student trustee, and this is my second year at FLCC, and I'm an environmental science student.
I was in environmental studies as well. Just dropped it.
I love it.
You ended up with finance. Been retired for a while, but I do hang out at the county office building occasionally to cast a vote, so. I'm here, I'm wearing two hats, county legislator perspective and from the trustee perspective. I'm Jeff Bastles, I'm retired, but had a 30-year career with Ontario County.
I already harassed you enough. No, stay.
I am Joan Geis. I'm also retired and I'm a retired social studies teacher.
Don Cass, I'm semi-retired, looking for full-time retirement. I was a mayor of Geneva for 12 years.
I'm Barb Hamlin. I'm a retired fundraiser.
George Fishman, I'm not thinking about retiring. Currently working with the U.S. Department of Labor on workforce development and ongoing employment training programs.
It's nice to meet you. I thought I was retired after I left Harvard School. I was there for 13 years. But there's nothing like getting out and mixing it up with some people and trying to help out. And with regards to ecology, let's call it ecology, Vermont science, let's call it ecology. A business is a system of interactions between people, between, the numbers, and it's like a balloon, you squeeze one area, it comes out the other. And getting a good understanding of how ecosystems work is nothing much different than doing a model or working with a whole group of people that help have these interconnected relationships and work together. So that's what's helped me out. Sorry for the personal comments.
Excuse me, trustee.
Thank you.
Assels, we didn't get trustee Mihaly.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who's hidden on the screen right now?
Donna, where are you?
There you go.
Hi, I'm Donna Mihalik. I work at a small business manufacturing firm. I started my career in educational public relations.
Thank you.
Oh, can I add that she's also a graduate of FLCC?
Thank you.
So yes, you can put that up. Thank you. We did send out, I think we might have sent out some preliminaries, and I've highlighted some changes since the preliminaries. You should recognize that this is the time of year because we're just coming off of last year's results through August, and we have spillover that's happening between the years typically. Between last year and in August of this year. And the other thing that was sort of like say complicating, and these things come to fore in the financials I'm going to show you, is last year's audit cycle was very long, and there were some processes and some information that kind of dragged out into the year. One of our big goals for this year over the next couple months is to accelerate the audit, to get things accomplished by the end of December, January, depends on its preliminary or finals. But we hope to get that for you. So the numbers you're going to look at here, let's call them preliminary, because these are a sort of a preliminary look, a management look at the year. Not necessarily, and then obviously not audited, because that's something that we'll be working on. And what's historically been shown, which is a great way to think about it, is sort of the big picture issues that the school has to deal with. If you can flip all the way to the very bottom, and this is sort of, I want you to use the other page. There's two sets of numbers here. One is with and without government funds. There should be another, but anyways, we can talk about this one while she finds it. We sort of scrubbed the report that's without government funding. The one that it shows that we're about break even, which is good news on fund consumption of the reserve funds. And that's really good news. Now, there's gonna be some movement back and forth between those, and we can talk about the numbers. The one file that we haven't quite scrubbed yet is this one. And this one has the federal funds in it. And we need to work on it because it's just not, the fund balance consumption of 3 million is not correct, because we know there's a couple $1 million of federal funding, stimulus funding that's not in the numbers yet. So one of the things that we need to do as the finance area needs to do is to provide a separate sort of accounting of where we are on stimulus funds. Let's take that out of sight. It's something that we're going to work on. We're going to present to you kind of how much money came in for stimulus and where did it go? How much is left? How does it balance out? Because that should be, that's not going to hit our fund balance like this. That's not it.
So is it this one or this one?
I'm not sure. Let's click on it. Just slide it on. Slide it bottom.
The one that says preliminary.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go through. While we're waiting, I can talk through.
It says the one that's preliminary.
Yeah, there's two
attaches.
Yeah, but it's all, I connected it, so it should be all one.
Scroll to be that.
Scroll down.
Can you scroll up the screen, way up, even further? Even further. Yep, there it is.
Oh,
Yeah, two files together.
all right,
All right, so go up to the top.
all right.
So I'll just talk a little bit about some of the things that we were working with in terms of making adjustments. And once again, preliminary results. The first adjustment highlighted in yellow there is that simply prepaid tuitions spill over, collected money last year. It shows up in our accounting systems. We had to extract it out. And that's a relatively straightforward adjustment there. But you see, once we extract that, we'll be below the budget assumptions for last year on revenue. And the state aid reversal here, that's some accounting audit adjustments that were spilled forward. We met with the auditors yesterday, and we have a good plan for working with them to kind of stabilize some of the year-end adjustments. And that should be good news for us going forward. But so those are two adjustments that we made to the reports that gives us a revenue line, which actually is a little bit better than budget. You can see 42, below budget, right? 42 versus 44. If you slide down below a little further, you can hold it right there. You can see we budgeted for a usage of the fund balance for this year, a little over 1.2 million. We don't think that we're going to have an appreciable use of the fund balance for this year. Give you more information on that in the next meeting or the meeting after in terms of where we are in the fund balance. But that's really good news. In this environment, we get close to break even. I think that's pretty good. Aside from the federal stimulus funds. This is non-stimulus funds. And then if you go down a little bit, I want to point to where we're getting, how is it that with the decline in revenue, we can get pretty close to break even? And a lot of that's coming down here in the administration area and the fringes. And that's a reflection of labor churn. As we had, we had a retirement program a couple of years ago. We brought some people out who were higher compensated. We're bringing in lower compensated people. We've got plenty of openings. We've got some postings out there, a lot of which are in the finance area. I can't speak to the other areas of the organization. But that's causing us to have some positive variances down there. And the question there is, how sustainable is it when we've got tight resources? But that's what our management teams will be working with. And working through that, where do you what kind of resources do you add? In the fringe benefits, that's a benefits area that's a function of new employees. Grant activity is an in and out. It's kind of, we're gonna show this a little differently. That grant activity of 5.4 million, that's sort of how much we've received to be spent, not necessarily how much gets spent. It's kind of like a kitty. It's kind of like a fund balance. But we spent 2 million on grant activity for the year. You see the 5 million comes in and out at the top and the bottom, so it nets out, but it's a little bit, a little misleading there. That's a kitty of money we spent, of which we spent 2 million, and we're gonna do more with that side of the income statement this year. Boy, I hope I didn't go too fast or confuse everybody, but Christine's here to answer the questions you might have. Do we have any questions about it, or want me to look at anything else? I did, as I said, we did present, and we saw it early on, it's down below, the report that shows what happens when you add the stimulus money. But as I said, we didn't scrub it, and there's timing effects there, and we need to look at that a little better before we say, oh, we're gonna lose $2 million on stimulus program, because that's just not a number that I can have any faith in at this point. Which I didn't want to share it, but in terms of being fully disclosing, I wanted to make sure we actually had it for you to look at. Let's see what it looks like. We're at, yeah. So anyways, questions?
Comments or questions?
It's a pleasure.
No, I think it'll be 114,000.
Yeah, it won't be that. I guarantee it won't be that, but let's hope we're down. Let's hope we're close to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Next is our facilities update, and
No, I don't have one. No worries. Thank you. Good evening. Just a real quick update, and this is based on the same list that we looked at last month, and there's been a few changes and there's been one addition. For the master plan, we did receive 5 proposals. We had a subcommittee of the steering committee review the proposals, and we had lots of conversation, reviewed each and every one of them, and we ended up selecting 3 to be interviewed, and the interviews will be on October 24th. So we are looking forward to getting that. I personally am looking forward to that, and I've talked about that before to get this moving ahead. For the nursing phase 3 and the lab renovation, and this is the project that we continue to talk about with different funding sources. This was the 1.5 million grant along with some additional funding from SUNY and the county, and it was also some monies for the biology lab renovation that was slotted, and we're putting them together to take advantage of construction dollars and reducing costs of CM and general conditions. The only change in that is that we had a team meeting, and the team meeting becomes important because we as FLCC review the design documents at 75%. We send a list of questions and or concerns or lesson learned from the many construction projects that we have. And we met with the design team and went back and forth, and the design team answered some questions and added some information associated with some of our needs. So at this point, they will go now to the construction documents that will go out to bid in probably December for, in November for bidding in December, and then looking for an April 2023 award. And as I've talked about, we will do the lab renovation next summer for fall of 2023, and the addition to the 4th floor that we just built, and we'll knock down that wall as we all kind of shake our head. And that will be for fall of 2024. The gym heating and ventilation, the heating is working as of today. So that is a good thing, as we were watching the temperatures drop, and me and my staff were keeping our fingers crossed, but it is working. So that will be finally commissioned and final within the next week. The Hemlock Hall, the short term, we talked about that, and that was moving up from Honor's House. Thank you. I forgot the name for some reason. moving into the first floor of the library, that addition that was done in 1991. The only change to that, we have no change in the short term, but we did have the architect come in today. And his name is Frank. He and myself met with Kurt and John and Trista and talked about what their conceptual idea was and had a really good dialogue. And Frank has made some suggestions and in fact probably reduced some of the scope a little bit, which isn't a bad thing. And he will come back with a couple different designs. I will be providing some conceptual schematic narrative pertaining to any heating and cooling and electrical changes. And then we'll come up with some different pricing so we understand where we're going. The new project, this has been ongoing, but it finally is moving forward, is wayfinding signs. As you go around campus, a few years ago, we put in these maps and they have all the room numbers and floor plans proper. And of course, we physically added space to the third floor and modified some entrances, so we've had to change those. So we have made those modifications and we will be getting replacements and my staff will be installing those. I'm hoping to get that done winter break. If not, we may just wait for the summer. We'll see where that goes. But that becomes important. That also includes the map when you first drive in. It's in front of the Arboretum and we had to modify that as well. Any questions?
Any questions from committee?
I'm not sure if it's related, but are the maps on the website and so forth also?
Yes, actually, the maps on the website have been modified and they do show that addition.
Right.
But we needed to get all the other ones throughout campus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the resolution regarding interpreter and transcription services. Christine, you want to raise that?
Before you have a resolution in order to award the contract for our transcription and interpreter services for this academic year. For your approval, does anybody have any questions on that?
I did. This is Santa.
Yeah.
There's no vendor listed.
Oh,
Is there a vendor?
yes, the vendor is.
I've got them. There's 3 vendors, Empire, Language Matters, and Vital Signs, and that 40,000 is an estimate, based on what budget was, and purely estimate. Those are not fixed price contracts. Those are, sort of as incurred. Those 3 vendors.
Oh,
We never know annually how much we're going to do because it's based on need of our students and employees at the time.
Yeah. On the resolution, do we vendor is or no?
I don't believe so. I believe this is an exact copy of it. We just
Put them up. Okay.
to each vendor a specific dollar amount
Okay.
on the resolution.
Thank you.
is there a way we can add? Irrespective of how much or how much we're gonna pay each of them. The resolution ought to say who we're contracting with.
Exactly.
Certainly.
Sure. So,
We can add it to the resolution and we can also add, we could add a paragraph in the resolution with verbiage about who we're gonna award it to. It can also be included on the memo of reference.
sure. Okay, should we formally amend it to do that?
I second.
Barb, offers that amendment?
Yeah.
Sound the
I'll
second
second.
it?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Aye. Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding the resolution? Okay, Matt, thank you.
The next item that you'll have on the agenda is the informational items. That includes information with regards to awarding the RFP for the vendor to do snow removal in Geneva and our budget transfers that are performed throughout the month. They are reallocation for the appropriate expenses to come out of. Any questions?
Any questions regarding that? Okay. If not, the budget transfer report. If there's any questions on that, pretty standard. Okay, thank you. Are there any other items we brought forth for the committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
I'll second it. Somebody over here. Second it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
all right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're scheduled to, start the regular meeting at 6:15. So you will have a little extra bonus time tonight, to grab something to eat and do whatever you need to do. All right, so, we can, move out of the, WebEx until we. Okay. Donna, did you hear all that?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. I wish we could send you some food, but
Virtual.
Good luck with that.
I brought snacks.
See you in a little bit.
Rick is sharing that, not me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say.
You can say it again, he's right listening.
Rick, you can unshare that now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call to order the Board of Trustees meeting of FLCC on October 5th. We will start off with our community public comment period. If there is anybody here or out in cyberspace that would like to make a comment, this is your time to do so. All right, seeing that no one has come forward, we will move on. The first item is the approval of the consent agenda. Could I please have a motion?
I'll move.
Trustees, George moved, okay. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeff, second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Old business, is there any old business that anyone would like to bring up? Seeing no old business, I will move on to new business. Is there any new business? All right, seeing no new business, I will move on to the chair's report. All I have, very short, I'm very pleased it's working out here in stage 14. I'm very pleased that we were able to hook up. This is just a wonderful setup. I appreciate everything that the staff is doing to make this possible. And I hope we, in the future, will get more people that will tune in to see what goes on at FLCC. It's so exciting. President's report.
What Dad, what you said, I don't know what the numbers are this time, but in the report and what Penny put out in the measurement, there were 59 people watching last time. And compared to what you said in person in the boardroom, that's quite an improvement. So it's a good thing. Well, you talk about progress. I'll just highlight some things. Progress. We do have an interim CFO, which is nice. So Ken, again, welcome. We're glad to have you. And I've mentioned to Ken that the three things that we really need are leadership, focus on the audit, because we've had 2 tough years of audits. We have the same auditor this year, at least the partner. So hopefully we won't have the issues we had last time. And then preparing the budget for the long-term process throughout the year. So we're glad to have Ken. We are looking at Carol for long-term, and Carol Urbatus is our search chair for that. Thank you, Carol. And thank you. Appreciate it. And Ed Kelty has taken on the assignment of being the chair for the provost search, and he's bugging me to get the final folks done, and I'm getting pretty close to getting done with that group, and it's supposed to be started in at least the way I remember the focus is late October, beginning of November, and the goal of late March, early April for decision making, having candidates on campus. So that takes care of that. I just wanted to highlight. I mentioned that SUNY has provided us $1.1 million out of $100 million that the governor put forward for colleges. The community college got 30% of that. I gave you what it is for. And Barb, thanks for the typo. I missed that. It is 1.1 million, not $1.1. However, by implied observation down below, it has the numbers of what we're looking for. Those haven't been approved. We put them into SUNY on September 18th. I don't think there's going to be any major changes from them, but there could be, and I am assuming that they're going to be, that it's multi-year because it's now October and the budget year for the next year begins in April, although you would have generally through the end of August for us to take care of those funds. But some of those, like the CMS that Carol and her team need, it may take longer to get that accomplished. But the assumption is once you have the money, they're not going to take it back, the federal stimulus funds. So I also wanted just to highlight, there are a lot of great academic initiatives. So if you look at the number of different courses that are being developed and online. I'd like to highlight, at least that has been of interest to me, has been the VIT certificate online. And if you think about it, we have the opportunity to have a program that can influence the entire Eastern Seaboard to have people trained. And so we're working now, you see more courses being accomplished from that. That's the kind of activity we need in terms of being competitive in the future. And I just want to thank the ASA group and Ryan McCabe for leading those efforts to help take care of that. I also wanted to let you know, one of the areas that it's listed in there that I want to get started earlier, sooner than later, and we'll use, if it's not the SUNY funds, and it's listed here in terms of the $222,000 for support for students in a concierge type mode for the chatbot and everything you've seen for telemedicine and chatbot, that I want to move faster and get started on getting those people here on campus to start working with students in the telemed and chatbot, to be able to get to them as soon as possible, to help them with their problems. So regardless, we're going to move faster and sooner than later on getting that accomplished. Let's see, finally, I would ask, there's a link in my report. You were very important in the entire process for the strategic plan. We need your input. If you have not put input into the strategic plan, please click that link and provide us your input for feedback for the strategic plan, which will be, we're getting close to getting our chair set and then really truly kicking and moving forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Knight. Penny, I noticed that the resolutions were not part of the consent agenda this time. Because they're listed separately, so I didn't know if I had to have a motion for those. I think probably since they're listed separately, I am going to have to. Yeah, that's okay.
You can't block them if you wish, but you, the board, have to.
Right.
Agree to do so.
We had two resolutions. One was for the technology program and the other one was for the transcription services. So I will need someone to.
Board's
thank you.
commission, I would like
Thank
to
you,
move
Rich.
those as a block.
Second.
Didn't we want to change that then?
It was,
Amend.
it was reflected already in the minutes.
Right.
Right. Penny already amended
And
it.
we're gonna have the vendors' names on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Measure passes. Okay, committee and liaison reports. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to go back to the minutes,
Sure.
but under staff and students, I don't see Michelle Wojcik's name. And I think you were there last time.
Last board meeting.
You
I
were.
wasn't here.
Okay. Thank you.
We're okay. All right.
Your presence was felt.
See, I thought you were.
All right, committee reports. Student trustee report.
Of course. So October 18th is Laker Day. That is in preparation at the moment. Faculty are encouraged to put activities together to interact with the students. An official list will be posted Friday, October 14th. There's a link in there if you guys are interested. You can come out and participate. I know the conservation department, they do a bio blitz, so they get to identify species on campus. That's a lot of fun. I'm gonna hop down to the bottom bullet point. I will come back. The Let's Talk series kicked off on September 6th. And I know you guys expressed a lot of interest in that last board meeting. It went really well. We had students from all over New York and the US attend. And enthusiasm and excitement for the upcoming session, which I believe yesterday there was one, and I haven't talked to Jenny how that went yet. But shortly, she will be adding guest speakers to introduce the event. And if you ever want to pop in, there's a link there. The next thing I want to address, I'm not really sure how to go about this, but a lot of Sands Drive, specifically turning onto Laker Lane. As many of the new students and visitors are unaware of the turning lane, and often they'll be in the straight lane and they cut off cars that are in the turning lane. I'm not sure if we have a date set up. Canandaigua Highway
The
Department.
city, I know the city of Canandaigua was having a very hard time with their striping contract.
Oh,
They can't
according to the striper, can't get the right paint. I don't know about the county. Well, you know that, Sim. Right.
All right.
Which is crazy because Lakeshore Drive is even more dangerous.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I don't know, Rich, if the county,
Straight. Seems to me we striped County Road 50, which is the old Lakeshore Drive.
You have any extra paint?
yeah.
Well, the county's responsible
I'll
for
check.
that. Isn't the county responsible for that?
But yeah, the part you're talking about is county.
Yeah, like there are arrows on the road, but they're really faint and actually really
Oh,
small.
it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. And I personally, I've seen a lot of students cut each other off, and then I've had a lot of students tell me this is a really big problem, and especially since the suites in Laker Landing is right there and the parking lot, just something to address, maybe kind of push somebody a little bit into that.
I'll make a note of that and we will talk to the Public Works Director.
And if they have any leftover paint, please get it to me.
Are you particularly caring about which color?
No, I said, just go out and buy something
Future, whatever.
to my
Who is
city
your-
contact.
Who has jurisdiction over Harvest Mills Drive?
What?
The town? County, oh,
County.
so the county's.
And hopefully they're not out of paint yet.
And chairing the GOI committee, we're also on the hook for any accidents that occur on it.
Oh. Someone put the county on notice.
Tomorrow morning.
I'll put it in the city. Thank you very much, Richard.
So any questions at all?
Report.
No?
Good report, and thank you for bringing that hazard to our attention, because that really should be addressed.
Yeah.
ASAP.
Especially since, I only spend a couple of seconds entering every single day and I still see so many near accidents and everyone keeps coming up to me. So I'm like, I gotta say something about it.
Thank you very much. Jeff, do you have anything for audit?
No, just indirectly, when we were having discussions about the audit, one of the things that came up was, on which budget, fixed assets of the college belong
I
on.
saw that, yeah.
And I know Don will probably talk about NYCCT here in a little bit. But while I was there, I just informally went around and talked, probably a half a dozen different colleges. And none of them have the fixed assets on their books. They're all on the sponsoring county's books. And without any solicitation on my part, half of those folks immediately said, it's titled to the county. It has to be on their asset
Right, yeah.
inventory. So
Yeah.
it just reinforced some of the discussion we had about it in that regard. So that's the only thing I had to report.
Okay, thank you. Board development, Santa and Donna, do you have anything at this time on board development?
I do not.
Donna, do you?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Then we're gonna move on to the association. Don and Barb, do you have anything at this time? Barb does, okay. They had a lovely lunch, by the way. Oh, lovely lunch. Which they always do. As you probably know, the association was childcare housing, the bookstore,
Service.
food service, yes. But now two of those are on contract, so we don't really deal with them particularly. But I'm happy to say the child care center is doing very well. It has a total of 43 kids out of a maximum they could possibly take of 56. And there are 7 of those, their children, 16 are from the community. So that's wonderful. And in housing, the suites have 347 licenses out of total of 353 beds. And so they're doing well. So, and the new director, Lindsay, last name? Chamberlain, is terrific. She presented very well. I think it was well understood by the board, and she gave an hour, training before the meeting for the board, learning what to expect. Like, read your materials. So I think they're off to a great start here. It is very good to hear. Very good. Yeah. Thank you very much, Barb. Any questions for Barb? Okay, now we're down to the foundation. Louis, did we make a lot of money on the golf ball rack?
We did it comfortable last year, probably about $5,400, and that's slow and steady with that.
Very good.
We're very happy with two other things. The first B2B committee meeting is tomorrow morning.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
The first B2B committee meeting is tomorrow morning, so we'll be circling around a date.
Right.
The other thing, we will have an FLCC holiday party in person this year.
Okay.
Your first time in 3 years. So stay tuned on dates and location. Things like that.
Thank you very much, Louis. And, student corp. Santa, oh no, Santa's no longer on that committee. We have to make that
Yeah.
notification, and I forgot to let Penny know. George, do you have anything on student work?
A few things. There's a report in here. New boards put together, have great positive energy, and they're really kind of rolls right over from last year. They're very, very engaged. I mentioned a few things in here. An observation is that there continually seems to be a high degree of commitment to DEI by the students, which is very, and they're really engaged. They see it as very important. The other thing that they are just constantly evolving to accommodate the online students. And it's just been interesting to watch over time how they evolve continuously and how to support those online students and make them feel like more a part of the community. And one it actually involves Dr. Nye with the Let's Talk, where he's having a coffee chat with students from all over, right, online, and that seems to have taken off, very, very well. But I think it's just, I think they're very keen on what the issues are with the students, and they're constantly evolving. I think it's great to watch. Highlight the Warrior Series. Was a women's initiative on leadership that began 10 years ago, and that had the Warrior Series, and that is now 10 years old. It's very, very successful, and it continues to move forward. So I thought that was something that the board would appreciate, that this, and it actually was a $0 grant, but it gave them the credibility to go forward with it, and it gave them that impetus. So, so it impacted thousands of students so far. So positive stuff.
Excellent. Any questions? Thank you. Any announcements? Does anyone have any announcements that they would like to make?
I do. So on behalf of the FLCC logging team, we would like to invite you guys to our first competition of the season. It's going to be here at FLCC, October 15th. It's a Saturday. It starts at 8:30 a.m. with canoeing and singles event, and the canoeing event's a lot of fun. But we'll be there all day, and my coach is extremely excited. They put a lot of work into this, and they would love for you guys to come out.
Where would it be?
It's going to be right next to G-Lot. You'll see all the cars and equipment right down there.
It's right behind Star Center.
Thank you. How do they do, they're doing canoeing?
Yes, there's a pond right there.
The pond is right there, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Do they throw hatchets?
Yes, so you
Be there for that.
Yeah, that'll be the singles event right in the morning, so you'll get to see that if you're there bright and early.
I'm just curious, are we having a retreat? Yes.
Yes,
On Friday, 13.
18.
14. Any other announcements, comments? All right, seeing none, I am going to ask for someone to move for executive session. That was. Oh, I'm sorry, Donna, I'm sorry.
Nope.
YCCT.
No problem. I was going to submit a written report for the next meeting, but just a quick highlight. I want to thank Dr. Nye for being there for Friday and for Trustee Astles coming on Saturday. It's nice to hear, Jeff, that you had a good experience again in being able to share information and get information from other community college trustees. I would just like to say that we're moving forward with hiring an advocate as a joint venture with NICAP, the President's Association. We're meeting with them tomorrow morning to finalize the arrangements for that, and hopefully you'll be seeing some additional efforts from that. George, you were mentioned and thanked at the meeting for joining the very reinvigorated Government Relations and Advocacy Committee. So thank you for that. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more and more about Mr. Alvarez from the Affinity Group that we'll be working with. And the other issue that seemed to take everyone by surprise was a presentation by Rob. Can you remember the name of the office?
Yes, it was the Office of the State Comptroller, our friends that visited us in 2018 for our credit card and travel policy audit.
Thank you. So there was I believe he was a deputy controller in charge of training people to do these audits. Took a lot of trustees by surprise by some of the things he had recommended that we do. He did hand out a booklet. I was very sorry that the presentation was not when Trustee Astles was there, because I think he would have also had many other questions. There is an address on the back of that booklet, and Rob and I talked about getting a set of those for the board and perhaps making a recommendation for one of our retreats to have this gentleman from the controller's office, who is very interested in coming out to the community colleges to do a training, to come out. And one of the main items that he was discussing that seemed to be of interest to many community colleges as well as us was the idea of internal controls. I think that would be a timely issue for us to revisit. So I would like to make that recommendation that we consider bringing this gentleman in, and I'll provide more information about that in a written report for next meeting. I apologize. I just sort of burned out after the conference.
Any questions for Donna? Okay, thank you, Donna. Okay, now I'm going to take a motion to move into executive session. When we are done with executive session, we'll return to our regular meeting for any additional questions. We're going to discuss matters regarding collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law, New York State Public Office Law, Article 7, 105E. Can I have a motion, please, to move into executive session? Okay, thank you, George. All right. At this time, we are in executive session. Anyone who does not need to participate in executive session, I will ask you if you would please leave, and we will wait a moment until everyone has a chance to leave.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, Donna, we sent you a text, you had an email that had the link. And if not, we can send you we sent you an email.
You sent me an email. I just looked through my emails. So let me try again.
Oh, it's WebEx, yeah. Yeah, it might be, Penny sent it too. Oh, you sent it to her, okay, WebEx.
All right, let's see. It's I'm doing a send receive to see if it comes up. It's not coming through my
Yeah, I'm sending it now. Well, I'm sending this, so. All right, Donna, give it about 10 seconds.
okay.
Send you the calendar link. You should have everything in it. If not, if you can get into WebEx, it can give you the number, meeting number.
So what I have up at the moment is, so I'm chatting with Rick, trying to see.
You need to get out of that. You need to drop out of that.
Okay. Should I just end the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.